Hey guys, Benzo here at the best toy store around. Hey guys, I'm down here at the best toy store in the world. There's everything you ever need to see down here. Let's take a look at some of the sluice boxes. They got about every kind of sluice box you can think of. Right there is the RPE for under 50 bucks, 40 bucks. They got some more California boxes for 50. But I think that's what you need right there. Got this Angus McCurk here, but everything I know about water and gold, that whole entire thing don't make any sense. Classifiers, hammers, dredge nozzles, machetes, little gold pans. That'll work. You can tell it's royal by the size of the flare there. They got the biggest flare in the game. All sorts of high bankers here. A little water table display. Here's more royals. Can you tell? And you got some of these lead traps. You got the pro lines. Nice. Howdy everybody, and welcome back to part 3 finally of how to prospect for gold. I gave you a lot of homework assignments about researching your areas, your laws, trying to find areas where you can go in legally, and what restrictions you have to follow in those areas. Now that's the biggest part of it all. The next thing is your equipment. And I told people I recommended a few things if they didn't know what to get, and I got it right here, and let's take a look. Here in front of us we have the RPE sluice, and I think it's about the best lightweight, inexpensive sluice on the market. It is really good. But prospecting usually starts and ends with the pan, and there's a lot of different pans out there and different for different people. I think all pans work, but then again, all the prospectors out there, they try to reinvent the wheel sometimes, so there might be a few bad pans on the market that aren't really economical or worth your time. And there's different types of pans for different types of material work. This pan here, this is not my very first pan, but I've had this pan for a very long time. It's got to be 30 years old. So I pulled a lot of gold out with just this pan. It's the standard black generic pan with a couple thin riffles and a backwash line on it. It's pulled out a lot of gold. We can look at some other pans here. There's the Garrett Super Sluice. Probably my favorite pan right now. Been using that one for about 10 years. And here's the new pan. This is the Mine Lab with the hexagon classifier. It's got deep riffles and fine riffles and a slick plate. If a pan don't really have a slick side, I don't want to use it. I got the little one to match it. I got the little Garrett around here too. And here we got gold claws. They work a little differently. You have to hold them underwater the whole time. So just keep that in mind if you have troubles staying bent over. And there's just a bazillion of these little generic pans like this, and they work as well. I got a couple that I use and I like, and I use them for different things around the house. So the most important piece of equipment, I think, is your pan. We're going to talk about pans a little bit, and we're going to look at how you start out a pan. So this is the Mine Lab pan, brand new, never used. So what do you do with a new pan? You can just start using it. These people talk about seasoning your pan. All that really means is you're breaking it in a little bit. For a pan like this, it's more important you wash it with a little soap, like Dawn soap, nothing too crazy. And you just want to make sure there's no production oils on this machine. This is a machine right here. It does a lot of work. But there's a couple different ways you can season it. Use a little soap. Use a soft bright, a green pad or something like that. Nothing metal. And you want to go in circular patterns on the bottom and on the sides. You never want to do back and forth and left and right or anything like that. Always circular patterns, and always on the sides circular as well. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to let the creek break it in, and I'm going to do a partial right here right now. Now that's the seasoning. Conditioning a pan is really the soap. That's when you wash it with Dawn soap to make sure there's no production oils on it. And the last thing you want to do is you can refurbish a pan. We're going to do that too. Okay, I try to fix the lighting a little bit and get this set up. So in this new pan, all you see is a drop of soap. This is a pan and tub in my house. I'm going to take a pile of these rocks. Remove any glass. A little wet. This will go in a circle. So I got soapy rocks. I'm just going to stuff it up around. So I'm holding a few rocks in my hand and using that as a scouring pad. So that's probably good enough, really. So there's no soaps, any oils, anything left in there. And there's a light scratch just to break that really slick surface that's on these that gold slides across very easily. Now if you want a finishing pan at home to use for cleanups, never do this. Just wash it with soap, use a towel instead of an abrasive, and that way you have a slick surface, and that's really good for finishing pans, but not for prospecting pans. So there we go. It's good to go. I got a new classifier. I'll be using that this weekend when I go out with some friends to find a little gold. A lot of fun. Now let's take a look at an old pan. So here we go. Here's a Garrett. This Garrett's been used a very long time. Things get thrown in it, gets thrown around, gets rocked. I don't know if you can see that I got a gouge right there. A nice deep scratch gouge from something. You never know what it was. So what I have in my hand is a piece of sandpaper. I'm going to recondition this pan. Just got a fine block and I'm holding a little bit stronger because you just make do with what you can find first. And there's a little bit of a gouge here and the big one's there. I have using flat razor blades and shaved these off. Always in a circular pattern. You want, if you're creating micro riffles, you want them to be perpendicular to any exit route the gold's going to take. Smaller circles in the middle, bigger circles on the outside. Don't circle here like that. Don't do that maneuver. Now my edges aren't too bad, but just a light rub around to just take the burrs off. It's been used so long. There's some burrs, and you wouldn't know it, but a slight burr in this area. If you get a slight burr in this area, yeah, you can get blisters. So there was a little spot. I'm going to send that off where you hold your pan. So you keep this area clean too. So I'm not going to tap that into the pan. That's plastic dust. It's going in the trash. So I'm going to look back at these grooves again. Are they still? That one's resolved. This one's a little bit. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. So I'll just refurbish this pan. I removed any spots that were causing me blisters throughout the day. Took away. It's okay if there's a groove in the bottom, but having edges of the groove where that's anything that's sticking up that's going to manipulate your rocks moving and tumbling and cleaning and doing what you want them to do is counterproductive. So let's move on to the next part. That was fun. Hey YouTube, we are back. We're set up here with a little pan. Got it slightly seasoned and a little bag of gold. This is from a local place. This was gifted to me by Jim L. You'll see him sometimes in the chats. And this is from a local place, Jim and Jim's Gold and Treasure, I believe the name of it is. This is Made in USA Geo Mountain Treasure. No clue what's in there. It's got a little vial, a $10 price tag on it. And so there should be a little bit of gold in there. So hopefully you source some small bag or a bag that you can try to pan along. So this is how I do it. A lot of people like to use a small pan and a bucket and sit outside, fill the bucket up and just pan with that into that. And that's fine. I do it that way too. Sometimes I set one of these up outside and run things. I'm in the process of getting me a new little piece of machinery that will fit in here and not make a mess. So when it comes to panning at home, I recommend you watch channels like Dylan Miller Prospecting. He does pay dirt reviews and he's got it down pat. And you see the process they use to classify. The more you classify your material, the less likely you'll wash out any gold because everything's the same size. So I have set up here a classifier so I can split this into overs and unders. Just 1/8 inch classifier, and we'll see what kind of gold comes out of this. I'll move this pan and I'll float this. I'm classifying dry. I got a snuffer bottle here. Classifying this dry. You want to classify dry. You can classify wet, but you have to use a lot of water, make sure everything's wet. In this bag there is a piece of paper. Oh look, there's a nice donkey. Piece of paper and a scripture, Proverbs 2:1, and even instructions on the back of how to pan your gold. In the bag there is a little vial. It's not a bad vial. I don't have any like that. And this bag is sealed, so we will cut it. Alright, we'll pour it through. And it looks like most of this material is just going straight through the classifier. There are some small pebbles being caught. Get it all out. There we go. All clean. Give that a quick shake, and it looks like I see a flake of gold right there in the middle that quick. That's kind of nice. Let's see if I can pick it up. Yeah, I believe that's gold. So that's super cool. So what we'll do now is pour the overs into our gold pan. They make small classifiers for people to use in home. They're really nice. But when it comes to classifiers, I haven't really seen one better than the Keen. As in for the green plastic type. They cost more, but just when you touch them and hold them, you can tell it's, I'm just trying to get all the rocks out, that they're better made than most. So I got my overs and unders there, keeping the bottom one dry. get all your material wet. So there's a few parts to gold panning. It's the classification and the stratification. When you stratify your materials, when you shake it back and forth, in water, underwater, get that piece of grass out of there. So I'm not even going to be able to wash anything out of this. It's such little material. Just going to shake it back and just slowly start rolling the material back. You see it moving quite easily. This is still a new pan and a little slick. So I see a piece of gold up there at the top, and it is sliding around a little bit because there's not a lot of friction being created between the gold and the pan. It's wanting to come down. You can always tap it back up to the top. Just a couple taps on the top. We got a train. So we'll resume. So there goes that piece of gold sliding down. Okay, I wasn't really expecting to find any gold that size in this little bag. So we're going to snuff it up. Got a new snuffer bottle here. I'm just going to preload it with some water. But here's the thing about snuffer bottles. They're pretty easy to use and all of them work. This is a Martin, and they're about one of the cheapest on the market. But I like it. Maybe the tube's a little too long, but that gives it versatility for other applications in the field as well. And it does have an adjustable tube. But you always want to squeeze your snuffer bottle into your pan. And then you address the gold and release and snuff it all up. And as long as you keep it under the water, it's going to slowly draw the material in, and you'll get the gold in your bottle. And then when you want to use it again, you make sure you flip it over, you squeeze it into your pan, because gold can get jammed up in the tube and get trapped there. A rock can get in it. You could snuff up a lot of gold right at the end of your draw, and it just goes up part of the way up your tube. And then when you squeeze it, boom, all this gold gets blown out of your snuffer bottle. And if you're not blowing it into your pan, you're blowing it out on the ground, and you're not taking it home. So make sure you always squeeze your snuffer bottle into your pan. So let's just wash this out. And let's flip it again, make sure I didn't miss anything. We're good. We're going to move on to some of the other material. So we heard me call that piece of pickers because I could pick it up. So when it comes to gold, in gold terminology, there's no limit to what we can make up. When it comes to gold, you got your micros, or your true micros that you can't see. You cannot see a true micro, you cannot see it. You got your micros, your fly poops, your dots, your specks, your flecks, your flakes, your pickers, chunkers. So this pan, I need to keep the whole, brand new pan, using it. The hole goes on the 9 o'clock on this pan, 9:35. So the swirling motion, some people say use it, some people don't. The old timers used it. The swirling motion is the best motion to agitate the soil. It's the best motion to get the gold to the bottom of the pan. But it doesn't put it in one spot, it mixes it up. So I'll do swirls several different times. When I first start, when I'm trying to recollect my material, and there's another time I think I use the swirl. I was just giving this a shake to see how dirty it is. And before I ever wash out, I usually just wash dirt out. I make sure I shake left and right down here on this end, and not the swirling motion. Now, then you dip. I don't do deep dips. You see people that submerge their pan, and I find a lot of gold will collect here on the ends. So I don't like to do the deep dives that completely submerge it. I'm just trying to dip the front half to wash the fines off the front half. And it might take longer that way, but I try not to wash gold out of my pan. So I don't know what to expect with this pan. We done found a picker. Can't be much more gold, if any, right? That y'all can see what I'm doing, but I can't do it left-handed. I've tried, and that's probably when I'm washing gold out in my pans. People are like, you found a lot of gold in those cons. Well, sometimes I try to do it left-handed. Just washing it out, shaking it down. There's a lot of light sand in this. And then you bring it back, reset it. If you want to do a swirl again, do a swirl again. Make sure you got enough water. Then you always want to go back into a left and right motion. Now, some people like the forward and back motion. Some people like the twist motion. There are a lot of different ways. This motion right here is good at getting the gold in one spot, but it's tricky to use and it takes time. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I've seen the shake and twist method. That's an old-timey method. You see some people that shake their pans extremely hard. It takes me a while to do my wild pans because they're different. You just have to come and try it for yourself, see how different they are. This is all fines, all fine blondes, washing off easily. So when you get to a certain point, I might be a little premature on this, you can do what we call a backwash. So when you start washing it down, and I like to keep a clean area, see a little left and right, back and forth, and all of a sudden a clean area opened up between what's on top and what's on bottom. I'm going to kick it back a little bit, a few times. Starting to see a little black sand show up. Tap it, and that ensures all the black sand and gold rises up. It kicks more lights to the top, and kick that back. Keep that clean area. The clean area lets you see if any gold is dragging down the pan. And then once you get it that far, you shake it out just like a regular gold pan. You shake it so the black sands are on bottom, and you wash it out a little at a time. Shake, washing out the lights. I use a lot of back panning in the field, but when you start out, I almost recommend. Now, I thought maybe I saw a piece of gold down there, so I stopped everything I was doing. I'm gonna wash everything back to one side and give it a tap or two right there. And now we're about to the point where I can just wash it back and reveal any gold. I'm just going to slowly, I'm barely even moving, just kicking it a little bit. There's a little too much water in there. Keeping that clean area with the left and right. And I'm doing this left-handed, so it might not look so clean. Keep kicking it. Here we go. See a piece of gold, give it a tap, brings the lights up to the top. Alright, I'm going to remove a little bit more water and wash that down. I'm not going to worry about back washing that out. It's not in my way. Now I've got a little bit more of a spin to the wash instead of. We can get a few more times here, a little tap. See how this pan is a little hydrophobic still. See how the water's beating up off of it really quick. Because it's new. It's not completely broke in. And because of that, the gold's going to float pretty good. But I see two small flakes. And I'm going to go ahead and snuff them up. Out in the field, it doesn't matter if you're snuffing up black sand, in my opinion. These are big enough I can use the snuffer bottle to blow the black sand away. And that way I'm just getting that piece of gold mainly. So there's very little black sand in that. In the field, I just take everything and sort it out later. You only have so much time out in the field. I don't waste too much time out there trying to get my gold perfectly clean. That's a whole nother pan. Maybe that's the biggest piece of the day. You know how many times I find my biggest piece of the day in the last pan? I don't know, like 10% of the time. Maybe 20. So I'm gonna go through it again. It's all in there still. I'm just gonna kick it back quicker this time because I already went through it once, and that's how fast I went through it that time, just a few swirls. So that's how I would pan stuff in the house. And we got a little bit more in the pan here. So I'm gonna wash this out. We're gonna finish this up. This one I'm gonna do a little bit faster. We'll continue talking about gold sizes. I'm gonna wash this pan out that it was in. So if there's any dust, we get that too. So we got up to about picker, and then you get, people call them chunkers and thunkers and thumpers and all these funny names people make up. But the large pieces of gold are generally called nuggets. The biggest pieces of gold in the world are called masses because they're not singular pieces of gold. They're seams and concentrations running through rock. So the biggest piece of gold ever found was a mass. The biggest nugget ever found was called Welcome Stranger. And I don't remember, biggest nugget that we know. We have no clue what the Egyptians were pulling out of the ground. We saw what they made. This is really easy pay dirt to go through. It's a lot of light blonde sands. So I'll do some left hand here. See, I don't know how to do it left-handed. In the wild, I usually stop washing when I see a lot of black sands. I don't want to start washing out a lot of black sands because where I'm on, the gold is trapped in the black sand material. You really have to pan it a couple times to shake all the gold out of the black sands, the fine stuff. Switch back to my right hand so we can get this done. Starting to see a little black sand. It's getting darker. We'll shake it all down into the pan there. We'll start kicking it back. I'm going to do it quicker. And I got gold showing up at the 9 o'clock. You saw me tap it with my palm and it pulls it that way. I'm going to tap it on top. Clear the area. The bottom of shake, clear the area. And then I'm going to do the mega tap where I just tap it out. So there we go. There's 4 more flakes of gold. I'm just going to take them and they're caught. I just think that's a piece of white rock. Now, sometimes I do the back double spin is where I spin it like this, and what I'm looking for here is on these black sands, on these edges, on the black sands, to see if there's any fines or micros appearing. And it's a sloppy, but it's a quick way to do it. and you can just keep spinning it around. I'm not seeing anything pop out whatsoever. So there's no micro gold in that. So we're just going to get rid of that stuff. And we got our snuffer bottle. And I just dump it. You know, I don't try to put my finger on it or anything like that. I don't think that makes any difference. So that first piece, now the classifier is looking like pyrite because of the way it's floating, the way it just moved, the way the gold didn't move. I can pick it up and throw it. I didn't expect to see a picker in there, but it didn't really look like pyrite until you put it next to gold. But its odd shape could be catching the water, and every now and then you get a piece of something and you're not exactly sure what it is. Maybe you just need better light. I don't know if y'all can see that the gold there looks completely different from that pyrite, but gold is also look that way. That's almost like crystal looking. But we'll take a better look at that and try to decide if that's gold or not. I have a vial of things that could be gold, could be not. Maybe one day I'll smelt them down and let the heat figure it out. But there's 6 little flakes of gold there from that. That's pretty nice. I didn't expect that much gold in that little bag. But you know, if I was doing retail in store and didn't have to pay shipping for $10, I could probably source something better than that. So we'll take a look at this a little different. And it's sparkly, shiny. So I'm going to do a smash test on it right here with this knife blade. So we got dust. That's the easiest way to tell between pyrite and gold. Pyrite crushes into powder and dust and crystals. If you smush a piece of gold, it just smushes. It won't crack or break. So it did look like gold in the classifier, not next to other gold. But then when you put it next to other gold, it looked like silvery, crystally. That was a piece of pyrite. And pyrite comes in many colors, from very gold to very silver. That's what people don't know. So they almost tricked me with a piece of pyrite there, but we figured it out real quick that it's not gold. So that's it. Thanks for joining me on this video, How to Prospect for Gold Part 3, where we're in the house going through gold pay dirt, talking about pans, talking about gold, and the things you need to know. The next one, Part 4, is going to be a good one where I take that RP out in the field with the new pan, and we're going to do some wild pans. We're going to do some wild prospecting. And then to follow that up, we're going to take the gold from the snuffer all the way to the vial and show you how we get that done. And then we're almost there. And there's a little bit of stuff about prospecting etiquette we don't have to talk, not necessarily brush over. We're going to have to definitely talk about that. And that's about it. So until next time, get in the creek and get that gold.